Namaste. Let's start with the Shanti Mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Spiritual journey is a wonderful journey. And spiritual journey is the way that our Sanatan Dharma says, is the purpose of this life. And without that spiritual journey as the purpose of life, otherwise we are just like any other beings on this earth. This particular ability is there only in the human being that he can make a spiritual journey. But this spiritual journey in other parts of the country were made by people, maybe accidentally, maybe that they have reached that state uh, without their planning and scheming or anything like that. But in Sanatana Dharma, not only that evidences of these people who made that spiritual journey is given, but also the methodology, path, and the whole structure of the culture is in that direction. Whether we have temples, whether we have the rituals, whether we have the way of life that is there in the form of what all that we do while taking food, while taking bath, while living in the normal day-to-day life, is all in a thread connected with spiritual growth. So that is the reason why in this culture there is nothing like retirement. It's a very simple idea. Whereas other cultures you have to retire, but here it is not like that. Because the main purpose of life, you will never retire. Not only that you will never retire, you will not even retire that after leaving this body. Your journey continues. And in order to complete that journey, that you will come back again in this world, because this is the only place which is supposed to be the karma bhumi, or the place where that journey towards the spirituality can take place. And if you have not taken up that journey, it doesn't matter that one life just goes away and the next life comes about. And this cycle continues as long as that you get the total liberation within you. This is the idea that we have. So this lofty idea of spiritual journey that is there in this particular culture is given in the form of mukti or moksha, the freedom, or reaching with that state of blissful nature of us, which is ananda. And also it is supposed to be our natural state, Swarupa, which is also known as the spirit. It is not my spirit, I am that spirit, I am that state. And the moment that you identify yourself 100% with that state, you know that all the other things, the, you use it outside, just for the sake of purpose, you use this body. So therefore, we have such a beautiful example that is there, or such word is there, and that's what is called as the soul, Atman, is called as Shariri, and then Sharira is the body. Sharira is supposed to be the cover that is there outside, and Shariri is somebody who is there inside, and one who is there inside is protected by this cover. And this cover is not just only the body, but it is also the mind complex, everything that is there, is to see that it is taking care of that Shariri that is there inside, Atman, or we are inside. So therefore, if we are using this body, we are using this body like the way eyes are seeing, eyes are not seeing through the eyes that I am seeing, that I am that consciousness. So that's how in this culture that we are the consciousness, we are the Swarupa, and then whatever that is there outside is supposed to be the thing which has got the impressions of the whole world outside. Now we have looked into it in the previous episodes, and then I came to the level where somebody who goes through this particular experience of, as he is approaching towards that experience of inner self, The glimpses of that can manifest in the world outside, or glimpses of manifest on him. So therefore, that it is in the and what is the way that he manifests those things in the or however, what is the thing that he reach when he reaches the ultimate, the way that it manifests. Last time I was saying that people attach so many miracles by practicing these things that you know I gave that example that somebody looks at me and says that you're very spiritual. Why? Because that I see the golden aura around you. To see that all these confusions are taken away. Somebody who sees says that he sees, supposed to be extraordinary. Somebody who doesn't see feels depressed. So this is all simple mind tricks. It's not that genuine somebody wants to really play some trick, but mind plays tricks on us. We have to be very careful about this mind, which can play this kind of tricks. In order to avoid that kind of tricks and all those things, our scriptures made it amply clear that how somebody reaches that state. In fact, don't we have that example of great spiritual giants, rishis, who are sitting in the forest in a small little hermitage? They don't have any big thing, but then small little hermitage, sitting and meditating, eating only whatever that nature brings about for them, and living such a simple life. And not only that time that you could see even today also that you can see that kind of people in this particular culture. And they are supposed to be highly respected. In fact, the money person may not be respected as much as the person who doesn't have all that money, riches, everything, but he is very simple way. Very naive, very simple, and does not really go for anything that is there. Satisfied. So only thing is that supremely satisfied. He doesn't have any desires. These are the things that you can see that such people are there in this culture. Always have been in this culture. And people who are great saints, they have also given very clearly the picture of this kind of a development within you, which is self satisfaction, which is totally being in blissful state all the time. And they did not describe about all these miracles. Like, for example, we have such great examples of spiritual leaders that the country has seen, like Ramana Maharshi or Ramakrishna Paramamsa. Where is the question of any special gift that they had, very special miracles that they have shown? Nothing like that. Ramakrishna was living in a very simple life in that Dakshineshwar temple. But you can't find any greater spiritual giant than him. Similarly, Ramana Maharshi is sitting inside that simple temple, and that's what is in Tiruvannamalai. And today people flock there for what? Just to experience that kind of a peace that Raman Maharshi radiated at that time, and even till today he's radiating there. Great many people have expressed in such a beautiful way. Mind is becoming quiet, mind transcended the mind, and then they reach that peaceful state as the way that they said. One of the visitors from the Paul Brenton from the West, that he came and he said that I went around the whole country with a bunch of questions to find an answer. I went around various places, I talked to so many people. Finally, I came to Ramana Maharshi, Tiruvannamalai. I sat with him. Not that my questions were answered, but my questions were dissolved. That dissolution is something where you become absolutely peaceful within you. Because what happens, one question gives rise to 10 other questions, and this continues. And that ultimate state of peace, that's what Paul Brenton discussed about it. Same Paul Brenton went to another saint. He said that the most pious saint that he has seen is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So, like that, this you can see. Similarly, we have another great saint, and that was the senior Swamiji Chandrasekhar Bharati of Shankara Matha. And he was very peaceful. And what was there in him? Similarly, like that, we have so many saints who are there. They did not go for anything. They did not show any miracle. They did not have anything like that aura or anything like that. But it is the artist impression just to how to represent that this person is somebody who is great, extraordinary. Because an artist can only take a picture, and in that picture you can't see that piece. Therefore, that they create a aura around their head. I came across several such great saints in this country, and what the contribution that they gave me is the understanding that spirituality is that peaceful state. And this is what Krishna expressed in Bhagavad Gita, and that's the most profound discussion about the person who reached the highest state of spirituality. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says eloquently about that we are the Atma, we are the self, and that self is known as Prajna. Being established in that Prajna is the ultimate of the spiritual journey, and then all other things are outside. After listening to all those earlier verses and all that, Arjuna asked Krishna, tell me something about this somebody who established in this particular Prajna, in that highest state of wisdom, where there is no vikalpa available. That's why it is called as nirvikalpa samadhi sthiti. One who reaches that nirvikalpa samadhi state, what is he like? And that's a very pertinent question that Arjuna asked Krishna. This appears in the second chapter, end of the second chapter, popularly known as the number of shlokas that are involved as Chita Prajna Lakshanas, qualities of Chita Prajna. And Arjuna's question itself is very useful pointer because Arjuna is in the war field. That means in the thick of the activity of the world outside. Most treacherous activity, which is the war. And such a war field activity that he is there in Arjuna, that if Krishna is talking about somebody who has all kinds of miracles, it doesn't make any sense to him. Because where is he going to go in search of such a person who has that kind of miracles? Who can create object, who can do this, who can do that? Nothing like that. Therefore, the question that Arjuna asks is very relevant to him, very relevant to all of us. And that is, he says, Titaprajnasya ka bhasha, samadhi tasya keshava, sitadihi kim prabhasheta, kimasita vrajeta kim. Sthita prajna, somebody who is established in prajna. Ka bhasha, that means to say, you tell me something about that. What does he talk about? Kisthitadihi kim prabhasheta, kimasita vrajeta kim. These questions have three different directions. One is, when he sits all by himself, kimasita, what is he like? The second thing is kim prabhasheta. That means when somebody strikes him, somebody asks him question, what is that shining out of him? What is that comes out of him? Kim brajeta. That means to say, what is that which naturally comes out of him when he not by prompted by somebody else, but all by himself what he says. Like the way that a seed is there, which is given an ambience, immediately that you can see that nice, wonderful plant comes out of it. But when plant reaches a particular stage, a natural, wonderful flower comes out of it. So given the environment, what is that which comes out of it? Is that flower. Is that beautiful flower and fruit. The same way somebody who is established in self, what is he like? Now what happens is this prajna also is known as awareness. Normally what happens with us is that we are aware of something or the other. We are aware of the objects that are around. We are aware of people that they are there around. We are aware of so many things that are there. We are aware of time. These are the things what people are aware of. We are normally aware of something or the other. But then what Krishna says is that Arjuna says, Chitta Prajna. That means somebody himself became awareness. It's like the way that an object that you put a light, you have a flashlight, and then you put the light on that object, the object shines. The outside object shines because of the light that you put in. The moment that you switch off the light, the shine on the object also goes away. So our awareness is like this, that I put on some object or the other, someday or the other. So therefore that you shine about it. Like for example, I'm in a traffic. I don't want to take my awareness away from traffic. So I put my awareness on the traffic so that I don't meet with accident. While cooking, I want to keep my awareness on the cooking so that I don't make a mistake in the cooking. So I just try to put an awareness in some object or the other. What we do it. It's like the way that I use a flashlight to know about that. Similarly, I'm sitting in a classroom and the teacher is telling something, particularly if it is boring, mind goes away. I try to put myself, my awareness on the teacher so that I don't miss the point that he says. It's very important for the exam. So therefore, that I use the awareness to about learning about the object outside, managing the world outside. So this is what is the two important things we know about the type of awareness that we have. One is that it is object oriented, and second thing is that we choose where we have to put our awareness. It's like the way flashlight. But when this condition of flashlight is like that, imagine what is the awareness of the sun himself. Sun himself becomes awareness. There is no darkness anywhere. There is nothing like one particular direction he has to put the sunlight or not. Sun throws his light on anything. Sun reflects on a beautiful, clean pond and also equally reflects on a dirty, muddy pond. Same thing. Sunlight falls on the flower, throws up nice, wonderful flower colors and all those things. But the same sun also can light up the thorn, and then you recognize that there is thorn. Sun does not have any particular choice as this is good, this is bad, this is right, this okay, this not okay. It is not like that. Sun's awareness is not just only pointed flashlight awareness, and that awareness is not utility based. That awareness of sun is supposed to be there all the time as the very nature of the sun. So therefore our awareness is utility based, object oriented, and our awareness is so that we can manage the thing. But then Krishna says that it is, Arjuna says it is not the question of that you have awareness of this or that, but you become yourself awareness. You sit in your awareness itself. You become one with the awareness. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha. There's a major difference between the normal awareness that we think of it or the awareness that you yourself become. It's a very, very beautiful idea. In fact, later on, in Patanjali Yoga Sutras also, you can see that normally what we practice is something like ahimsa. Like I just take one example, and that's what is one of the yamas, which is supposed to be ahimsa. Ahimsa, satya, steya, brahmacharya, these are yamas. Normally, what we do is that we practice ahimsa. That means to say non-violence. Don't kill anything, don't hurt anything. These are the things that normally people understand that. That's a wonderful thing. That itself is a great. That means you consciously see that you don't hurt anything, you don't cause disturbance to the other things. This is one thing. But then Patanjali goes one step ahead, saying that ahimsaya pratisthayam tatsanido vairatyaga. Now, pratishtha means one who establishes himself in ahimsa. That means he himself becomes ahimsa. Ahimsa is not something that is manifested in this or that or anything like that. Ahimsa itself is something he is. He is ahimsa himself. This is like the way sun himself becomes light. This is the idea of the Krishna Arjuna's question, that sthita prajna, that somebody who is established himself in that state. And that prajna state is a peaceful state. It's a Brahmic sthiti, or that's what is called as a soul, spirit, or Atma. All these different words are there. So this is what is the idea of spirituality. But then Arjuna is asking this question, Sthita dhihi kim prabhasheta kim asita varjeta kim. All by himself when he's sitting, what is he like? That means to say, what is the difference that you find in him and also in an ordinary man? Many times, what happens is a common man, when he's all by himself, has nothing to do, he's just sitting quiet. He's not really sitting quiet. He's fighting with that quietness within him. It becomes like a burden. In fact, we get bored. The whole boredom is that I'm not doing anything, I'm just sitting quiet. I'm wasting, and there's another term that we use, wasting my time. Yeah, you are not wasting, you are not the only one who is wasting time. Himalayas are wasting their time. All the forests are wasting their time. The whole earth is wasting the time because they're not doing anything. The nature is waste of time, actually. So this is the idea that all by sitting himself, what is he like? Does he feel burdened? That silence is a burden? Does he feel that non-activity is a burden? In fact, you don't even have to. And these are the things which are complaint, and therefore you don't even have to find out further the answer. That answer is hidden there. Saying that for somebody, that sitting quiet is not a burden. He's just peaceful. Think of the rishis who are sitting in the Himalayas. Think of the innumerable number of rishis who are there in the culture for 10,000, 20,000 years in the forest. They are sitting, meditating. Are they not keeping quiet? They can be quiet by themselves. This is what is the first question Arjuna asked, that all by themselves when they sit down, what are they like? And second thing is, some people are quiet. It may not be really peaceful state within, but then it may be a quiet state because of some external pressures, conditions. And such a person, the moment that you go and talk to them, what that comes out of him is abuses. And then people say, yeah, let's not go to him. Because the moment I go and talk to him, he throws so much of stress on me that I'm disturbed. So such person is not a satsang, not a good company. So therefore, that we leave him alone, let him be peaceful, so that I will also be peaceful. Let it not destroy my peace. Some people outwardly appear to be very silent and peaceful, but the moment you go and talk to them, they assign you task. The people who are ready to assign you tasks. Even these people are the people when they go and talk to them. A friend of mine always used to say that, there are some people from a distance that they are impressive, but the moment that you go close to them, then you see that their colors come out of it. So these are not supposed to be the people who are highly spiritually grown, because by being with them, talking to them, what happens is their peace is transmitted to you. They don't have any agenda for you because they themselves have any agenda for themselves. How can they have an agenda for? So they can't force you anything. They can't make you to do something or the other. Huh? Out of joy, out of bliss, that something comes out of you in doing. That's why they also enjoy it. So that is why the first thing is all by themselves when they are sitting quiet. What are they? And when they come out in the form of an activity, what comes out of them? And third is the activity when you go and uh, when you live with all them, what is that comes out of it? Nice, wonderful poetry. A flower can just come out with a nice, wonderful fragrance all by itself, not with any particular agenda of serving somebody. Even in the forest, it comes out. Such a person who is peaceful, if something comes out of him, is it not just spreading a nice, wonderful fragrance, wonderful taste, and it is wonderful wisdom? So these are the three things that are there. Now, when you look at it, this Tritapajna Lakshana's qualities, these are the three questions that Arjuna asks. And when you look at all these things, that your whole life is nothing but these three things. If I would like to divide your life is nothing but these three aspects of it. Either you are just sitting quiet, or you are responding to somebody else, or maybe that something comes out of you. Some activity comes out of you. You're peaceful, then some activity comes out of you. What kind of an activity that comes out of you when you're peaceful? It's a very beautiful is. I read one quote somewhere saying that a housewife kept this quote in her kitchen, saying to the particularly meaning to the husband, he said, if you don't have anything else to do, don't do it here. That means if nothing to do, then you come and do something, it's only spoils. So what comes out of you is all this rubbish. So therefore, these are the three things. Adi Shankaracharya, when Arjuna asked this question, that when Sthita Prajna Lakshanas is asking about somebody who is highly realized, that is somebody who reached the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, highest state of meditation, what are his qualities when he's asking? In what way is it useful for us, common man? Shankaracharya says that if those qualities of people per person who has reached the highest state of realization, if those qualities, if Krishna is going to mention that, in what way is it going to be related to common men like us? Because my mind is agitated, I'm disturbed, I've got all these passions, all these vasanas and samskaras, pulls and pulsions that are there, and I have whole responsibility of the world outside. So all these things are there for me. In what way those qualities will be useful for me? He takes this particular question. He poses himself that question to answer that. This posing oneself this question in Shastra is called as Purva Paksha. So Krishna, before answering, Shankaracharya has posed this Purva Paksha saying that in what way is it useful for a common man? Because common man has his own problems. Then he comes with an answer saying that whatever those are supposed to be the qualities of the person who is there in this highest self realization, those qualities, they are natural for him. He just lives those qualities. And those qualities are something that we can emulate, we can imitate, we can consciously bring about that. Yani sthita prajnasya lakshanani, those who are supposed to be the qualities of sthita prajna. Lakshana means qualities, way of life. Tani sarve janaha sadhana bhutani. Those are the qualities which we have to bring it in our day-to-day life. We consciously bring about in our day-to-day life. So that's why these highly realized spiritual souls are there. They are useful in the society so that we can emulate them, we can follow them, and that helps us to grow in that particular direction. This statement of Shankaracharya is very, very important in the spiritual journey. And later on, whatever the qualities that Krishna has given in the next 18-20 sutras, shlokas that are there, beautifully described about all those qualities. And there, not one place, any miracle, anything like that is there. Not even a statement saying that somebody who reaches that highest state of spirituality, whether he has that Ajna Chakra opened, these chakras opened, there is no reference to that. Or what pranas have been evolved, what pranas have really has gone out. Even these questions are not there. Not only that, what kind of aura that person has, whether he walks on the water, whether he lives on the fire, none, all these things are not there because these are miracles. And then in spiritual journey, there is nothing, no place for miracles. There is no place for miracles. Unfortunately, what happened is that most of the spiritual activity, spiritual people, they think that miracle is the way that spirituality has been established. And as a result of it, and another thing is that one is miracles, and the other is a language which is mystic language. And that mystic language is about these chakras and about these auras and about all these things that are there, mystic language. Neither the miracles nor the mystic language is the way that Krishna described about this the Prajnalakshanas in the Bhagavad Gita. Not only that, the whole of Upanishad literature, when you look at it, there is nowhere this mystic language, nor the miracle about that is given there. Patanjali also gives the one chapter where the manifestation aspect of it he has given. That's why it is called as Vibhuti. But then he very clearly specifies that this Vibhuti is something which is can be in a distraction for the person from your growth. So he also very clearly cautions saying that the growth is towards this particular area where the person who is spiritually grown, whatever that he is. And that is what is the way. Now, what happened as a result of it? Unfortunately, there are several people, several institutions, several places. These miracles have been stressed, and the gurus are born. And not only the gurus are born, they use these spiritual texts to see that their shortfalls that they cover up themselves. That's why we see not only in the past, in the present, and the future, we always come across these fake spiritual gurus. When I say fake, it is not that totally they are fake, but the idea is that they might have had some little glimpse here and there of something like that, some experience of godly experience. Yes, as last time I was explaining about that, when people go through that meditation and all those things, they come across some certain experiences. And it may look to be like a miracle experience, but then their culture has not changed, their whole aspect, ideals, and that is not changed. As a result of it, what happens? Those who have high degree of experience that they have, also a possibility that they can drift away. That's why in this culture that we have such people that who are supposed to be great spiritual giants, spiritual people, but at the same time that they are totally away from the society and usefulness to the society. Just imagine. I gave the example of Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Arabindo. These are all the people who said that they have highest spiritual giants that we have produced in this country at this time. Are the sages who are there, innumerable number in this particular culture for over thousands of years they are there, but you don't see that any miracles, any mystic language in them. They're very clear. You read the whole of Ramana Maharshi, you never come across any mystic language. You look at the whole of Ramakrishna's teachings, which are supposed to be such pure teachings of the divine quality. That's why Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the book. And then you don't come across any one single place where any miracle or mystic language has been used. That's very clear indication that our sages have given that. When a rishi speaks in the Upanishad also that Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam, it is his own experience. He's saying that, wow, the whole thing is nothing but divinity. That's his experience, his feeling. Now, how do we take it? I can even immediately put that person on a pedestal and say that, yes, he has seen God, he is God. Therefore, that I don't have to do anything. I just do the prayer of him or create a association around him and then make money out of it. I can do that. But that's not the purpose. The Rishi's purpose is that when he could experience that he has seen the divinity, you could also see that divinity. That's what Shankaracharya said. Whatever that experience that they had becomes like a guideline for us to have that kind of an experience. You go in that direction. Where I'm seeing this world is full of problems, full of negativity, and full of cheating, this, that. That's a kind of world that I'm seeing. And the Rishi says there, Ishavasyamidam Sarvam, the whole thing is nothing but divinity. How can I accept that? You can reject it and go away. But a really spiritual seeker is the one who says that if somebody has that kind of an experience, that he can see the divinity everywhere, I should also be able to see the divinity. One day, I can also say Ishavasyamidam Sarvam, not as that Rishi's words, but as if it is my words. That's what is a spiritual journey. I don't want to stop short in between, some miracle, something like that, some push and pull here and there. But I just directly go to the ultimate. That's what the Rishi wants us to say. The same way somebody else somewhere in the other part of the world says that Anal Haq, that means, oh, I am the God. Even that's what he said. But then they have punished him, they have crucified him. Another person who also said, I am the God. The Son and Father are the one. And he was crucified. See, look at the way that the world people did not understand. But in this country, people have understood, people who have made that kind of statement. But then unfortunately, there they have crucified, persecuted. Whereas in this culture, they have put them on the pedestal and did the puja, But then people did not want to go in that direction. Very ironical, very unfortunate about that. Yeah, we are happy doing some rituals here and there. We are happy doing some moralistic activities. Beyond that, let's not go. It may be good to be moralistic, but then the further spiritual journey is not taken. Yeah, Krishna also sanctions about that, saying that, all right, out of thousands of such people who go in this moralistic direction, right direction, one in that is going towards spiritual. That's wonderful sign. That's a wonderful direction. But basically, the Sanatana Dharma always gave that direction an importance. Going astray into the world outside was not given importance. They had done extraordinary, wonderful growth and development as far as the material world is concerned. We had such an extraordinary material progress. Metallurgy was at the top end. We knew about all the stars and planets and the distance between them and all those things and their positions. This culture, Sanatana Dharma, 5,000 years ago, knew about how to make the things like building a beautiful temple with all kinds of geometry that's involved in that. We have evidences of that. In spite of all those extraordinary, wonderful growth and development that was there in the material world, the Sanatana Dharma always held the spiritual growth is something which is extraordinary. And that development is what Krishna is envisaging in the form of the person Sita Prajna. That's what is the highest. Arjuna did not lack anything. He was the best of the archers. And he also had the whole kingdom. And he could single-handed, he could defeat the whole Kauravas army. Everything is there. But in spite of it, Arjuna, with that kind of an urge, he is asking Krishna, tell me who is that person who is realized, self-realized, Nirvikalp Samadhi? Is it not something extraordinary? See, this is what is extra. See, that means to say the gap of all the spiritual, all the material growth and development, from that to the spiritual height is something which is extraordinary. Let us try to understand clearly. Let us not mystify that. Let's not say some chakras open, some prana goes somewhere, and somebody walks on the water. Ramakrishna ridiculed that particular idea very beautifully. A sadhu came to him and said that he has realized something and then he has powers and all that. Then he asked Ramakrishna to come out and then he walked on the water across the river and then he hired a boat, one anna paid, and then boat took him across and he reached the other shore, other end of the river, and then said, how long shall we walk? You wanted to show me something. Did I not show you that I walked on the water? And Ramakrishna replied, one anna worth. It means 1 penny worth. All that you have done sadhana for several years and all those things, is it 1 penny worth? What an unfortunate thing it is. So that is the way, that's the perception about what is called as this powers. Unfortunately, today a lot of spiritual seekers, spiritual masters are emphasizing on that power, not peace. When you go back to the stories of earlier times, Rama was also a great meditator. And look at the way Rama, where he was. He could face any situation in a beautiful way without getting perturbed. One day he was supposed to be on the throne, and the next moment he was supposed to go to the forest for 14 years. Either way, it was easy for him. And you know what a beautiful description that goes on in Valmiki Ramayana. Only Valmiki can write such a beautiful thing. While going into the father's chamber, he saw all the arrangements for the next day for the coronation. What are the things that are required? That was all kept ready. And Rama was going in front of them, and then he just bowed in front of it because after all, that's a spiritual activity, religious great activity of coronation. It's not because that he was to be coronated, but the idea is that this is such a sacred activity that's going on. So he bowed in front of it and then went to his father's place, and then he found out that he's not there. He had to go to Kaikeyi's place. All that happened. And then Kaikeyi requested that he has to go to the forest for 14 years for exile. And Bharata will be coronated with all these things. And Rama agreed on that. Absolutely. In fact, Kaikeyi, before telling Rama, she says, your dad wants to tell you something, but unfortunately his health does not permit to speak. Therefore, on his behalf, I'm going to say, because it's what voice that his father, Dasharatha, can say that. It's just impossible. So Kaikeyi takes the stand. Kaikeyi is Bharata's mother, Rama's stepmother. She takes the stand and says that, okay, dad wanted to say, but on his behalf, I'm telling. And this is something which is very serious. Why don't you sit down, have a cup of water? Because it might dislodge you. Rama smiled and asked mother, tell me, don't worry about it. She said, the father owes me the 2 boons and all that. You are supposed to go to the forest for 14 years. Bharata will be coronated. Rama's reply to Kaikeyi, okay, I'm going to the forest for 14 years, but you told me something serious. That means this news is not serious news for him. Equanimous state that he has taken. And that equanimity, you can see in Rama when he came out of that place, and then again he came across all this arrangement that was there for the coronation. And now he stood in front of it with folded hands, because now the king will be coronated with all those things, and the king will be Bharata, not him. So he does prostrate in front of it, offers his pranams. He offers his pranam to the future king. How can anybody do that? Is this much more grander state of peacefulness compared to walking in the water, walking in the fire, flying in the air? Do you think that they are important? You see, the very scripture itself shows what is the right direction that one has to go. If we can understand these things, we can appreciate the importance of that peace over the power. Rama's condition was like that. Whereas Ravan is also another person who meditated. And he also did the tapasya for Shiva and all that. And he got the darshan, the vision of Shiva. With all those things, what has become? He was arrogant of his power. He became a demon. He became a Rakshasa. So we have the stories of people who have gone through the spiritual journey, like the way that what Patanjali has given, or what they did the meditation, like the way that Patanjali has given, Yama, Niyama, all those things that they have done it. The same way Rama has done it, the same thing Ravana has done, or the people like Hiranyakashipu has done. Look at the way. The father is also a great bhakta, Hiranyakashipu. Son is also a great bhakta, and that's what is Prahlada. But look at where they have reached. He became a demon, and this fellow has become, Prahlada has become a great saint. Ravan has become a demon, and Rama has become a great saintly person. So that means to say, this focus is only on the power, and if happen to miss the peace aspect of it, then you might have experiences. You might have become somebody who had that experience of God, glimpses of it. But then if you focus on the power, then naturally that it will lead you in the wrong direction. Similarly, like that, it may not be the highest level when Ravan was great in that experience, but then we also have people who are at a smaller level, but they also became small demons, gone in the wrong direction. Like that, what happens is that even till today, when you look at it, there may be some people who have had that kind of an experience of glimpse of divinity, and they thought that they became divine. And when they thought that they became divine, their ego is not subsided, but their evil qualities are still there. The transformation has not taken place in them. then they manifest those evil qualities, and they manifest for sake of their own self aggrandizement, self propagation, self commending. And such people that we come across, unfortunately, they are the people who have spoiled this whole universe, spirituality itself. He becomes like because he has some experience of something like that, that might have given a small little power that attracted people. And then he became a saint, and then people follow him. Then they have such wonderful quotations from our scriptures. That's why it is said that devils also quote Shastras and scriptures. It's what Vivekananda said. So scriptural support the text. Scripture says that whatever the guru says, without any question, that you follow it sincerely. And also that you tell anything about the guru outside, it is called as guru droha. Wow. And as a result of it, that you go and tell about all the evils of the guru outside in the world, it is guru droha. If you have done one guru droha, then you'll go to the 100 times the hell kind of a thing that were given. That's why these saints, so-called supposed to be pseudo saints, are the people who keep saying that this guru droha, and they bind the people in their control, and they do all kinds of nonsense. And the most unfortunate thing about that is the attraction of these normal, simple human attraction. That's what is towards the sex, and they use their own position, their own power, their own popularity for the sake of taking care of sex. And it's not only in our culture, it's there all over the world. That's the reason why you see that in spiritual circles there is so much of scandals of the sex that is there. And then they created institutions, and the institutions are not for anything development, but it is to see that they cover up the sex scandals of all these people. Again and again we come across that. But then, are these not people who have not the spiritual realize? Yes, there was a small little glimpse, but then that distracted them afterwards. That's what very beautifully given by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa in a beautiful story. And this, it's not an anecdote, but it's the life incident of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, you know that he is extraordinary, wonderful saint of in the last about 200-300 years that India has produced, par excellence. And Vivekananda is one of his disciples, and you can see what is the quality of Vivekananda who has taken it out. In fact, to the world, this whole concept. It's always said Rama's greatness that you see in Hanuman, the monkey god, the kind of activity he has done. Rama was very simple and peaceful. But then he was totally dedicated to Dharma. Hanuman was the person who could see that, and he such an extraordinary, wonderful power was there, but then he was humble to Rama, surrendered to Rama. Similarly, Ramakrishna's greatness you should see in Vivekananda. Look at the way Vivekananda's extraordinary power, that at the Parliament of World Religions, he just shook the whole world Parliament of World Religions, so that the press said that a country which is represented by this person, Vivekananda, and we send missionaries to teach them about spirituality, we should be ashamed of it. So that shows what is the power of Vivekananda, and the greatness of Ramakrishna is that Vivekananda sat at the feet of Ramakrishna. So therefore, that extraordinary, wonderful spiritual giant like Ramakrishna, his moment is something like that. And you know, it is beyond any attachments. He was such a simple, homely person. He had his wife, his sister's son, and that was Hriday, was person who came to help him, and he was his also disciple like. And he was there with Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, taking care of every need of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, helping him. Always used to pester Thakur. Thakur, you give, that is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, is known as Thakur. Thakur, you give such meditation, spiritual experiences to various people. They have such great ecstasy and all that. But whereas you have not granted me anything, though I'm your own close relative, your sister's son. Ramakrishna always used to smile and say that when time comes, God will give you, Devi will give you. Not that I give or anything like that. He said it in that pure language. And then one day it so happened that Thakur was going for in the night, he was going for night call in the forest. And then Hriday was there with him. Hriday was his name. And Hriday was there with him, a lantern in his hand, showing the path in the darkness. As they were walking, suddenly Hriday found out himself that he is flying in the sky. And he saw that even Ramakrishna is also flying in the sky. And then down below, they could see the whole of Calcutta. Immediately, Hriday was so excited. He said, "Hey Ramakrishna, look at us. We have become gods. We are in the sky. We become lights illuminating. And then our light, with that we could see Calcutta down below. Let's go down to Calcutta and say that we are gods." When he said that, immediately Ramakrishna just shouted back at him, saying, "That stop all this nonsense." In a very colloquial way. Once when Ramakrishna said that, at once everything is eliminated. And then as if once again with the lantern in his hand, Hriday was walking with Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna looked at him and said, "What? Nonsense. One small little speck of an experience that you had. And for that small little experience, it's a speck. You forgot that you should talk to me as your uncle. You started calling me by name Ramakrishna. And you said that we should go to Calcutta and tell people that we are gods. Stop all this nonsense. In fact, Goddess Kali does not give you that experience because that you are so immature. One small little speck of experience can make you like that. Imagine my experiences. Imagine the experiences of all these people who are sincere." That example is very, very important example, saying that how a small little glimpse of an experience can throw somebody out of balance. Not only that, in fact, you can see in the world also that somebody who is promoted goes to the next higher level. Wow, at once his ego is boosted. He forgets that his responsibility. In fact, our Indian Sanatana Dharma always says that the higher and higher that you go, it's higher and higher responsibility. It's not the question of power. Adhikara is supposed to be responsibility, not power. And our people, they become more of addicts of power. Such small little glimpse must have been there in the case of, say, either it may be Muhammad, or it may be in the case of some saints that we come across. Swami this Ananda, Swami that Ananda, and this saint and that saint. God knows how many of them are there. Not only in this culture, but in the other cultures also. I don't know the names of them. But they assume that they are gods. And they become like Hriday. They go to speak to the world outside. And they create all kinds of nonsense. This is what you have to be careful about. We have to be careful about. What are these miracles, these powers? They are not miracles at all. They are something, whatever that is there. But then what is their experience? Next time in the class, next to satsang, I would like to discuss about what is supposed to be these miraculous powers, so-called miracles. They are not miracles. But then it's not that you deny their experience. Like when Muhammad had communicated with the Allah, with the God on the top, I don't want to deny that. But it may be a small little glimpse of experience. But later on, his life should give us a direction for that. It's not that what he experienced, but what is his life. When you look at that, What is the guidance that you get? Similarly, there is another saint, XYZ saints are there. What is their experience? Let's not worry about it. It's for them. But what is their life after that? Is it something which is that you follow it? That's what Shankaracharya said very clearly, that yani sthita prajnasya lakshanani tani sarve janaha sadhana bhutani. What are supposed to be the qualities of sthita prajna are the qualities of, are the things that we need to follow. If the sthita prajna has molested people, yes, I can molest the people. If sthita prajna has taken advantage of weakness of others, you can take the advantage of weakness of the others. But are they our guides? Are they things which can sustain this universe, sustain this world? Why not we set up a different set of ideas for spirituality based on Sanatana Dharma? Because the ideas of Sanatana Dharma, spirituality, is the one which survived for 10,000 or 20,000 years. Let us bring back that. And that's what is basically the spirituality. About these miracles, further I will talk about it. And about the spirituality, I will talk about it in the next session. So I'll leave it here for you to contemplate on these ideas. And if you have any doubts, any questions, you can share with me. Thank you so much. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.